Bitcoin can possibly come down into the 60K range. And I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm gonna be super real with you guys during this video because I know there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty. No one knows how bad this recession fear is gonna go. No one knows if tariffs are gonna soon enough later this month, probably. Who knows if they're gonna be, loosened up a little bit. No one knows what's going on, but there is a lot of fear. So I'm gonna be super real with you guys. I'm not gonna try to fear anyone. I'm not gonna try to hype up anyone, but instead have a realistic outlook on Bitcoin and how we can all potentially take advantage of this instead of just, being shaken out of the market for good, knowing that Bitcoin has a bright future ahead of it later into this year. At least that's the belief, right? So we're going to cover all that. We're going to see how far Bitcoin can really go, how aggressive can it be, and then a reminder again of why Bitcoin is still a really good investment and people shouldn't be scared out of it. So this is more for reigniting that confidence in investors and keeping everyone just realistic, right? So that's really the whole purpose of this. So we know that tariff fears have also inflation fears behind it. On top of that, just recently, like a lot of articles and a lot of Wall Street's been basically pushing this fear of a potential recession, and of course, the U.S. President Donald Trump is very confident that we're going to come out of this even stronger, and he still has his goal of lowering inflation over time, even if that means causing a lot of this hardship at the moment in the short term. He says he's not really worried about a recession because we'll be out of it. It's just temporarily, and if you think about it, actually, before I jump into these tabs right here, it's you got to remember too that a lot of these other countries can't really sustain 20+% tariffs for long, and it's gonna be very tough for the U.S. consumer as well. So this isn't something that's gonna last forever, and we'll eventually see the end of it, and things will get better soon when tariffs start to fade away. Eventually, we will be ahead of it. Recession fears will start to fade, and we're just gonna be, at the light at the end of the tunnel. Basically, I'm gonna show you guys a previous structure on Bitcoin chart to also back that up in a moment. But basically everything I was saying, Trump's recession comment betrays a dicey tariff pitch. It's just a lot of that, Ontario slaps 25% tax increase on electricity exports to U.S. There's a lot of, there is definitely like this tax tariff war going on. So it's kind of not surprising, right? But Trump speaks out on recession fears, tariffs, and Zelensky. Pretty much all the stuff you guys already know. And then Bitcoin, with Michael Saylor with that 21 billion stock sale for Bitcoin, and like this one right here, U.S. Bitcoin reserves could spark global adoption. So there's still that that possibility of Bitcoin, high possibility of Bitcoin just being bought up more over time, because we all know that even with this aggressive sell-off, we are still in this time where Bitcoin is being highly adopted, and much more Bitcoin is being bought up than is created, even with this fear right now. So this is the moment where true Bitcoin believers can really show how supportive they are in Bitcoin by not getting shaken out, and instead just riding this out. Because you guys gotta remember too, like if you consider this long-term dip we've had back here, which reminds us that, hey, a lot of these economic fear, broad economic macro fears, can last quite a bit, and it can pull down Bitcoin for a while. So if you consider this right here, so March 2024, we had this sideways consolidation happening, kind of downtrending a little bit over time, and this lasted many months. On top of that, the price did this, where overall it ended up bottoming out around 32% lower from the high at that point. During this time, actually at this time it was a lot of interest rate fears due to inflation but you still had a lot of that, background buying on Bitcoin happening. The true believers weren't being, shaken out, and they, accumulating, writing this out until eventually we popped up higher. Right now, as you can see, we haven't really seen a lot of time. It's only been like 3 months since we've seen this consolidation phase happening. So far within this phase, we also have roughly 30% dip. So getting close to that, like roughly 30% dip that we saw on that previous structure, right? When there was a lot of fear. During this time, though, same thing, broad economic fear causing uncertainty, just like previously. And we are seeing, the real believers, you got states, governments, and just countries adopting Bitcoin, buying much more of it, and taking advantage of this. And then, well, of course, you got to also consider to slowly DCA in so you don't run out of capital too early. And then you can also take advantage of all the, the dips that we can see however long this plays out. And now it's very clear that due to, macroeconomic fear can last a while. And then, we've only been here for basically 3 months. So we can still see a bit more of this, lasting for quite a bit more time. At the same time, too, you guys got to remember that a lot of these Bitcoin dips during bull markets, we see 20 to 30% dips often during bull markets, and we're just seeing that right now, regardless if it's macroeconomic fear. And on top of that, eventually when all this fear begins to fade away and the broad economy begins to strengthen a bit more due to maybe some tariff negotiations, or maybe the US backs out of some tariffs, maybe the Federal Reserve helps out, or who knows, right? But eventually all this will become better, and it'll be in the past. Because, like, honestly, even though I was invested during this time and this lasted quite a while, I don't remember any of it, to be honest. Like, eventually, so much fear, so much uncertainty, eventually we break out of it and we all forget what happened. And we're just going to see that again. There's still a lot of demand for Bitcoin, and all this right here eventually will be in the past, and we're all just going to forget about it. But to look at the potential 60K Bitcoin, right? Because that's really, I don't think Bitcoin could go any lower than 60K. As of right now, it looks like Bitcoin is holding that CME gap at 77K. Broke down a little bit from it to like 76.7K. It rallied back up a little bit. Now it's consolidating. I'm not saying that it's going to go up from here. It absolutely could. But we need to remember that a lot of this macro fear is still developing. So we can easily see more sell-offs throughout March as it aggressively, it keeps growing. And we'll see how that develops. But the thing is too, so right now we're using a lot of these smaller fib extension areas as support, and we keep bouncing up from them, go down to the other level and bounce up from them, right? So far that CME gap is holding really strong. But if you consider this red area down here, so the reason I drew this is because the moment a lot of fear began, which started with the Bybit hack, we were up here. So this is the start of this bearish break of structure that ended up crashing down, breaking the sideways structure we have right here. So that was the beginning of it. So if we consider a fib extension from this area all the way down to the major swing low, and then all the way up to the major swing high, it creates this area down here. Now this area down here also overlaps with a lot of support and resistances back here, where we saw a change of structure from this long-term consolidation that we've seen in 2024. This is where it started changing. This is when we first started seeing the higher highs and higher lows forming. And then this is the consolidation that led up to the big rally, right? So if you consider a lot of this fluctuation to potentially act as a magnet, we've seen this happen many times in smaller structures. If you consider that, then it overlaps with this and it kind of backs that up a little bit. And then if you also consider aggressive selling in the future, potentially due to more macroeconomic fear, we need to keep in mind that Bitcoin has the possibility of coming down to 60,000. You can see it comes down to 61,136, but we can easily, see it. We can just say 60,000 is the actual bottom of this fib extension area. This right here doesn't have to fill. We don't have to reach it. We can definitely see Bitcoin start rallying from here. Who knows? Tomorrow, later this week, next week, or who knows? We can see some positive news coming out. Maybe things start changing and fear goes away. Who knows? But as of right now, we do have fear increasing due to all that macroeconomic reasons that I explained earlier. So we need to keep in mind, right, that it's very important to hold on to capital. It's very important to understand what can potentially happen, so we're not just completely blindsided, and we can approach this with a much more clear head, not surprised by anything, and instead be ready for it. So the possibility of Bitcoin due to increasing fear coming down, or possibility of Bitcoin coming down due to increasing fears, is very, very much possible. So due to the break of structure that we have, breaking this sideways channel, considering this structure, we know that, hey, we can easily come down here. As of right now, volume is kind of bearish. We broke below this previous swing low. We broke below the supportive area. We used it really nicely right here. This time around, we broke below it, even though we came back up. The CME gap at 77K is holding quite strong. We broke above it. But at the same time, until we can have a bullish confirmation, it's very important to understand that, hey, we can easily go down, possibly even into the low 70s, because the low 70s also acted as strong. It was a resistance that can now act as support previously. So low 70s is very possible. But I will not be surprised until we have a bullish confirmation or bullish structure forming. I'm just going to expect that we can easily see the low 60s being filled. It's very, very, very possible. So this isn't to create fear, it's to just keep us realistic on what is possible due to current structures, due to macroeconomic conditions, that we can easily go down lower. And that's why it's very important to hold on to cash on the side, make sure you're ready to weather the storm, because eventually we all know that just Bitcoin is increasing. The strength, the foundation of it is just getting stronger over time. This is not a reason to be shaken out and just like not go into Bitcoin anymore, because who knows? We can find support now. We can find support a little bit lower. And whenever we start climbing higher, we will start climbing higher, because when fear goes away and money starts flowing back into risk on assets, the rally is going to be quick. And if Bitcoin is supposed to be trading around 100K or above 100K, the rally can happen very, very quickly. We've seen that happen back here. We've seen big candles to the upside. After the sideways consolidation, we started forming an uptrend. We confirmed it, and then big rally to the upside. And that can happen here as well. We can go down further. We can test a lot of the support. We can go down a lot. But the moment we do recover, I think it's very important to be invested, because the recovery can happen very, very quickly. Once we start having an uptrend confirmation, money can easily flow back into it very aggressively. And then we can see previous rallies like this just happen into the near future. And then next thing you know, we're making new all-time highs. So it's just very important to remain realistic, understand that the potential of lower downside is very possible. But the recovery can happen very quickly. And the moment, even positive news in the economy can happen randomly out of a sudden. So it's just very, very important to not be shaken out. If you truly believe in Bitcoin, you will slowly DCA more. If you can't, well, just hold on, weather the storm, because you guys already know that if all this tariff stuff is only temporarily, it could just be a negotiation tactic, causing fear in the market. Next thing you know, we just pump higher. Who knows? It can even be for the Fed to be, spooked out a little bit, maybe force them to lower rates sooner. Who knows? There's a lot of questions, a lot of question marks, but we all know, again, from the current structures we have in front of us and broad economic data, we know that we can potentially see lower prices, and the recovery can be very quickly when all this fear fades away. So as of right now, guys, just stay realistic. If we start having an uptrend confirmation, maybe we can look at a new break of structure area that will confirm, you know, prices to eventually go up higher. But as of right now, until we have that, just remain calm, have patience, just watch Bitcoin crash and get ready to buy if we see even more aggressive dips. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay strong, guys, and I'll catch you guys soon.